Howdy, everybody. I know it's been a few weeks, but there has been some things going on in my life. The thing is that someone who was very dear to me, someone who I loved greatly, decided that their life was not worth living. Yes, I'm one of those people now that has had someone close to me commit suicide. I know that this isn't my normal format. I know that this doesn't involve researching my roots, but this is something that I feel like I need to do. Because, like I said, this was someone who was very dear to me, someone who I cared about, and out of respect for all of the family, I'm not going to use pronouns. I'm not going to say he or she. I'm not going to refer to names. I'm not going to say anything other than that this was someone that I was close to. Um, it was someone, like I said, that was very dear to me. Uh, so, for this video, I'm dedicating it to this person and to all of those who are thinking about, who are considering, or you know someone who is considering suicide. Um, I have the numbers that I'm going to run through the whole entire video because, like I said, right now this is something that I feel is very important for me to do. If at some point later on, even, several years down the road, someone sees this video and they get a hold of one of those numbers, or they decide that, they want to try and not commit suicide, like I said, this is for all the future ones. This is in loving memory. Not, like I said, not only for my loved one, but for all those out there. So I'm going to start out, and I'm going to start with the people who like to have facts, people who like to have information at hand. I'm getting this from the Center for Disease Control. This is not something that I have made up. This is their research. This is what they have come up with. This is their numbers that they have. Said 48,000. Said suicide is a leading cause of death in the United States. It was responsible for over 48,000 deaths in 2021. That's a large number. 48,000. I mean, that's like a small town. Some small place in the middle of nowhere. 12.3 million. In 2021, an estimated 12.3 million adults seriously thought about suicide. 3.5 million made a plan, and 1.7 million attempted suicide. Now, remember that other number up there I mentioned, 48? Those were the successful ones. Those were the ones that actually died and took their own life. At 1.7 million, those are ones that were not successful. They were the ones who either someone stopped them, or they stopped themselves, or they didn't do it correctly and live through it. I mean, that's a large difference there. I mean, 1.7 million. I mean, that's like a large city. I mean, think about, whatever large city you live closest to. Dallas, Fort Worth, Houston, Tampa Bay. I'm trying to think of ones in California. My mind's not pulling up California. Chicago. Some of those large cities like that. Think about 1.7 million gone out of a city that size. I mean, that is a large number. And that's only the ones that actually attempted. 12.3 million. I remember back to 9/11 when New York City was empty because of the fact the towers came down and people were fleeing for their lives, and it was uninhabitable because of all the debris and stuff. Think back to that time, 2001. Think about that now. If 12.3 million people who have thought about it, if they took their life, that's like New York City being empty again. That's like no one being there. Think about a city that size and everyone's gone. And that's just the people who have thought about it. The ones that have, even the fleeting thought of, why am I even here? What's the purpose of me being here? And that's how it starts a lot of times. People, they hit a spot and they think, is my life really worth it? 12.3 million people think that at least once in a while. Some of them might think it every day, and the ones that are thinking it every day are the ones that make the plans, the ones that actually attempt it. Did you know that most people who attempt suicide, they've been thinking about it for a long time? It's not like they woke up one morning and go, you know what, I'm done, and they go and get a gun. It's something that they think about because they talk themselves into it, out of it, back into it again, out of it again. Then they stop thinking about it for a while. Then something happens and they get down again. And they start thinking about it again. Then they start thinking about it harder. And then they start wondering, well, what would be the easiest way? I've got, a knife here. No, I can't stab myself. I got a gun. I've got pills. I've got razor blades that if I cut myself, people get these thoughts in their head, and it works around, and it's like a disease. It just works on their mind and starts killing their spirit. Suicide is like a disease. And you know what the cure is? It's each other. We gotta talk to each other. We gotta let each other know more how much we care. Sometimes it's a high school kid who is being bullied too much. Sometimes it's a person at work who doesn't think their life is going anywhere. And sometimes it's just someone who feels completely useless. But you want to know the really scary thing here? These numbers I told you, 12.3 million that think about it, I'd be willing to bet you that's a low number. If they actually talk to every single person in the United States, that number would probably be higher. Because these are just ones that probably they have talked to on hotlines. These are people that have gone to get help in professional places, either a psychiatrist or a therapist or someone, a minister, someone that they can talk to. Like I said, that 12.3 million, if they talk to every single person, I would be very willing to bet that number would be a lot higher. I'd be willing to bet all those numbers would probably be higher if they actually, well, except for the attempted ones. That one, they pretty well have proof evidence on that. 36% higher. The suicide rate in 2021 was 36% higher than in 2000. From 2000 to 2021, 21 years. I mean, stop and think about 21 years. When you're 21 years old, a lot of people are now legal to drink. That's like someone who's finally hit what a lot of people consider true adulthood. I mean, you turn 18, you can legally do most anything you want. You can go vote, you can buy a house, you can buy a car, you can buy all these things. But when you're 21, all the all the things that you can do at that point, 36% higher. I mean, that's the life of one person, that was maybe born in 2000 up to 2021. It has risen 36%. That's more than a third. I mean, think about that. Those are lots of numbers. They're lots of big numbers. And you know what? There's all sorts of programs. Like I said, I'm on the Center for Disease Control. I've got their thing right here on my phone that I'm looking at. They've got a facts about suicide, risk and protective factors, preventive strategies. There's probably a lot of people that need that preventive strategy, 12.3 million at least. Funded programs. There is help. There's suicide prevention hotlines, which is part of what, I'm trying to do with this. It's the people that I'm trying to reach, the people that I'm wanting to talk to. Funded programs. There are places out there. There's a lot of healthcare facilities now. Sorry, that was me hitting it. There's a lot of people that have insurance that they now have in their insurance thing, where you can go and talk to a counselor if you're thinking this way. There's a lot of people out there wanting to do bad things to themselves. The CSP program profiles. That's something else. They have resources. They have all these things that you can do in places that you can contact. And like I said, I have all of this stuff, as you can see, on the screen here, so that way, if you're thinking about it, give them a call. If you're in another country, I don't know if these numbers would work for you, but look up numbers for your country. That they're bound to have them. I would be willing to bet the United Kingdom, most of Europe, maybe Africa even, South America, Mexico, Canada. Anybody who's watching this, wherever you're watching this, if, like I said, the numbers that I have here, they are American numbers, but look them up. Look them up for your country. Don't sit there and go, tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. It's late tonight. It's early in the morning. I have to go to work. If you're having these thoughts, please call. Get help. Don't put it off, because if you put it off, the suicide disease works a little bit longer on you. It has that extra half day, that extra full day. You sleep on it overnight, and things still seem worse the next morning. There is no time like the present. I mean, you need help, please get help. That is for the people who like facts. If you're someone who you need a more religious aspect on it, I have that for you too. Give me just a second. For those who you want to know more of kind of the religious side of it, I'm going to give you Genesis chapter 2, verse number 7. It says, "And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul." God created you. You are a person. God gave you his own life. He just gave you a little bit of his breath so that we can live, so that we can talk, so that we can think, so that we can reason with each other. If you feel like the numbers I gave you, aren't good, the 988, and all that, go talk to your minister. Go talk to your priest. Go talk to your rabbi. Whoever your spiritual leader is, go talk to them. Go talk to someone who you feel like, you can trust. You know, um, Maybe there's someone who you're close to. If you go to church, someone in your church. Go talk to them. Just tell them, I need someone to talk to. Let them know that you really need a good conversation. There's a lot of churches that they have good, wonderful people. Good ones that will help you, will give you the words that you need to hear. You want another verse or two? Give me a second. I got a few others. I'm going to Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 5. It says, Before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee. And before thou camest forth out of the womb, I sanctified thee. God knows who we are. Even in those moments before our parents knew who we were, God knew. He was there for us. He wanted us. And he gives you these beautiful days. He gives you sunrises and sunsets. There's beautiful flowers for you to look at. There's the cry of a baby. There is the smile of family members. If you don't have a good family, if that's part of what the reason is, go make your own. Go find someone who you can talk to. Like I said, if you feel like you don't have a good family, go make one. Go to a church. There are a lot of people there. I mean, at my church, I do go to church. I am a Christian, and I love going to church because I have a family who I have put together. There are a couple of old ladies in the church, older ladies than I am, that they're like mothers to me. There are several of them that are like sisters to me. I have a group of ladies that I like to eat with on Sunday afternoons after church. We go to different places and we sit and we talk. Once a month, a lot of the ladies in the church, we all get together and we just sit and we just communicate with each other. And the feeling of love in that group is so wonderful. And it's because of the fact that we all care for each other. You look at one lady and you think of her as the grandmother type. There's one sweet little lady in my church. She's 92 years old. She's 92 and she is so sweet, and it's just so nice to sit and talk with her because she loves everybody and she treats everybody so wonderfully. She just, she'll get you and she'll say, you know what? She says, I love you. For those moments to get to hear her say that, and she gives so willingly. She found out that my truck had broke down, and she handed me a $20 bill, and she says, I think you need this. I didn't ask her for it. She just gave it to me. Here recently, she's been giving some of her rings away. There's one little girl in our church who, she's about 10, 11, somewhere right around in there, a very young lady. And Sunday at church, she took off one of her nice big fancy rings. She handed it to the girl's mother, and she says, keep this safe until she gets old enough to where she can handle it. She says, I want to give it to her, but said keep it for her until she's older, and she can appreciate it. She just took a ring off of her finger and gave it to her. She's so loving and so kind, and she wants to help people. Like I said, form your own family. Maybe there's someone at work that you feel close to. Just one day tell them, hey, will you go have lunch with me one day? After we get off work, would you go somewhere and let's have dinner? I want to sit and I want to talk with you. Go out somewhere with someone. Uh, um, the more you get out, the more you do, the more it helps. You know, like I said, it really does help. Okay, I've got another one I'm going to give you. I'm going to go to Psalms. I actually kind of like Psalms. We've been doing a lot in Psalms here lately. This is pretty far back. Let me find it here. 139. And it is, there we go. Starting verse 13. It says, "For thou hast possessed my reins. Thou hast covered me in my mother's womb. I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are thy works, and that my soul knoweth right well." You know, I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. We are all wonderfully made by God. As I said in the previous, two of them back, two back, he breathed his own life into Adam, and through Adam and Eve, that's passed on to the other generations. We have inherited God's breath in our life. We're wonderfully made by him. You know, he put us together so well. We you might look at your features and you go, "Oh, look at my nose. Isn't my nose fat? Isn't it long? Isn't it short? Isn't it flat? Isn't it?" We can pick ourselves apart. But stop and think about something. At your nose, no one else has your nose. Well, they might come close to having your nose, but how well does it go with your eyes, with your cheeks, with your mouth, even your chin, you know, forehead. I got a big forehead. It's a little bit sunburned. I was at the lake this last weekend. But, you know, it all goes together to form us. God made us so unique. Even people who are identical twins, their fingerprints are not exactly alike. Their fingerprints just slightly different. You can take them and you can put their fingerprints there, and there's going to be difference. One of them might have a swirl this way, and the other one has, maybe a slight hook instead of a swirl. God made all of us so different, even down to minute little things like that. We might have an identical twin, but there are little things that make us different, even the way that we think. Honestly, I've known a lot of twins. I've known a lot of identical, and I've known a lot of fraternal. And they are not all completely 100% alike. They have different thoughts. They like different things. Yeah, sure, they might both like to wear plaid on Wednesdays, but there's other things. This one might like chocolate ice cream. This one might prefer vanilla. This one might not like to drink hot tea, and this one drinks hot tea like you wouldn't believe. God, even down to our thought patterns, allows us to have different thoughts. So even though, like I said, even though someone might be an identical twin and they might have the same nose, the same eyes, the same face, they're going to think differently. They're going to reason through things differently. Maybe they got one ear that's a little bit longer than the other twin's ear. I know, small little difference, right? But God made each of us with our own uniqueness. It might be in our thoughts. It might be, like I said, for most of the world, it's going to be how we look. People are going to look at me and go, oh, hey, yeah, you're Jennifer. I went to school with you. I used to work with you. I went to church with you. I remember you wherever. At my loved one's memorial service, there was, I call them near cousins, came up to me, and he had his wife with him, and she told me, she says, I remember you when you were a little girl. Says, we used to go and visit y'all when y'all were living, at the time we were living, my parents were dorm parents for a place called the Pythian Children's Home. And they visited us there quite a few times. She remembered me having really, really blonde hair, not this dishwater, dark, ugly blonde that you see here now. She remembered me as a platinum blonde. When I was 4 years old, my hair was platinum blonde. When I was born, it was strawberry blonde. So my hair color has changed on its own. I don't need to dye my hair. My hair changes on its own. So in a week I can have a different color hair. Yeah, but she remembered me that little with the really blonde hair. Even the hair has changed. Of course, people with darker hair, the only time theirs changes whenever they get older and it starts going gray. Because it's kind of hard to go from like brown to brown. The blondes and redheads, we seem to have a little bit more luck with changing colors. But like I said, we're wonderfully made. We're made so different. And when you choose to commit suicide, we lose that uniqueness of you. The thing that is you. The little bit that brings the different to the world that we might need. Your thoughts are going to be different from other people's thoughts, your ideas, your hopes, your dreams. When you commit suicide, you rob the world of the uniqueness of you. I know. Sounds a little corny, doesn't it? But you know what? It's true. You're different from me, and I'm different from you. If you're not here because you choose to end your life, you're robbing the world. You are uniquely made. There's not going to be another you. Someone might look a lot like you, but they're not going to have your thoughts. They're not going to have your heart. We need that in the world. All of y'all who think differently, all of y'all, the hearts that you have, the things that you think about, the world needs that. We don't need you to kill yourselves. We need y'all to be here to make our world a little bit more special for you being you. Okay, one more verse that I'm going to do for those who want the verses. This one here is probably the most important one of all. It's from Exodus. It's chapter 20, verse 13. Thou shalt not kill. That doesn't mean only, the verse says it all there. Thou shalt not kill. It doesn't say thou shalt not kill your neighbors. It doesn't say thou shalt not kill your enemies. It doesn't say thou shalt not kill anybody specific, because it's meant for everyone. Don't kill yourself. Don't kill someone else. when you commit suicide, that's what you're doing. You're killing yourself. And God put that in there. He, like I said, He didn't add anything to it. In some of the previous ones, it says, "Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land." Okay, He didn't put anything like that. He just said, "Thou shalt not kill." Don't kill yourself. Don't kill someone else. Don't kill this person over here. God wants you alive. I mean, these are just a few that I pulled up. If you want more Bible references, there are plenty. There are plenty where God talks about how wonderful you are and how much He wants to give to you. He wants to bless you with things. He gives you these beautiful sunrises and these gorgeous sunsets. He makes these flowers for you. He put butterflies and birds singing songs because He wants these little things. If you're thinking about suicide, go outside and look up at the stars. Look at everything that God made up there. Each one of those stars He put up there personally for you to look at. Next time that there's a rain, look for the rainbow. That's a promise too. It's a promise that God doesn't want to destroy the earth because He loves us. He wants us to have all these good, beautiful, and wonderful things. Life is precious. Life is wonderful. And life is great. And it's something that people take for granted. People choose to end their lives. They choose to kill themselves. They choose to commit murder. Because when you take your life, you're murdering yourself. You're killing yourself. You are destroying this beautiful, unique you. I don't know how many people are still watching at this point, but whoever is, if you've gotten this far, just know that, I want you in this world. I want you in this world because there are other people that they need you, whether you realize it or not. Suicide is a very selfish thing. And I'm speaking this from the family and friends standpoint. My loved one who decided to end their own life, they did it in the family living room. Did you know that you can't just call anybody in to clean up something like that? There is specialized services that you have to call, and they're expensive. So not only have you now added the cost of your funeral or cremation, depending on which one your family chooses to do, your family has to clean up after it. They have to go in and they have to live there. They can't sell that house now because if they do, the real estate person has to tell them, "Oh, by the way, one of the owners committed suicide in the living room." You know what that does to the price? That makes the house almost unsellable because a lot of people, they're going to be like, "I don't want to live there. Somebody killed themselves?" You're hurting. I mean, you might think that you're hurting a particular member of your family. Yeah, you might be. But think about the innocent ones. You know, think about, the spouse. Think about parents, siblings. children, if they're old enough, grandchildren, or even great-grandchildren. I mean, if you're old enough that you have a small child or you have small grandchildren, think about the fact that they have to go to that house. They have to look and go, my loved one died here. My grandmother, my grandfather, my mom, my dad. You know, if you have a sibling, you have nieces and nephews most likely. You know, my uncle, my aunt chose to end their life here. You know, little ones, they don't need that. Your family doesn't need that. Your parents don't need that. Your family, your friends, they want you. You know, at the memorial, I mean, we had our moments. We tried to make it as loving as we could for the immediate family, for the spouse, for the children, in this case grandchildren also, for the one parent that was left, for the sibling. We tried to fill the place with as much love as we could. Uh, the parent couldn't even hardly stand to be in the room. The parent spent most of the time in the children's area. Whoop, sorry. They spent most of the time in the children's area playing with the kids because they couldn't face it. They couldn't go into the room with the pictures being shown of our loved one on the screen in happier days. It was hard on everybody. You know, if you think you're doing it to get revenge on one family member, think about the others. Because there's more than one person in the family. Like I said, you know, if they're of an age, parents might still be alive. Siblings, depending on how old they are, you know, might have kids and grandkids. Do you really want them to deal with that? Do you want your precious little baby girl, your handsome young boy, to walk in and to see that room? Even if you go, oh, well, I'll go outside. I'll do it out there. I'll do it in a storage building. I'll do it in the barn. You know, wherever you go, that place is going to be where they associate your death with. They're going to look at that barn, that storage building. They're going to look at wherever it is, and the thought is always going to be, that's where they chose to die at. Little ones, sometimes they take it on themselves. Why didn't, you know, grandma, grandpa, mom, dad, why didn't they love me enough to stay? Suicide affects more than just the person who dies. It's the ones left behind. The friends, they start going, why didn't I see the signs? I work with them all day. I talk to them all the time. The family members, why didn't I seek help for them? Why didn't I encourage them to get help? Why didn't I talk them into going to counseling? Suicide is more than just you. You're not the one who is ending it. You're causing so much more problems for those left behind. If you love your family, if you truly care for them, don't. Just please don't. because you leave people like me behind. Yeah, I know. I've had a few moments where I keep trying to break down, and I'm trying not to because, like I said, I just want y'all to know it's not only about you, okay? There are people that they love you. There are a lot of people that loved the person that was close to me because it was standing room only. You know, you want to know how much you're loved? Go to the funeral, go to the memorial services. And it's like everybody has nothing but good to say. They talk about how much they love them, or, you know, that they wish that they hadn't. You know, bosses will come and they'll say, you know what, we might have had our differences, but he or she was a great worker. You know, I could count on them to be there. You are more loved than what you realize. You are more cared for than what you know. So please, as my final plea before I shut this off, if you're thinking about suicide, if it's something that is really weighing on you, call one of these numbers. I've got several of them. Call them, talk to someone. Tell them what's going on in your life. Tell them the pain that you're having. Tell them what it is that you need. Please get help. Please don't let this disease win with you, because there is people that care, and don't let them show how much they care at your memorial or at your funeral. Let them know now. Please reach out and call one of these numbers, and don't leave them behind hurting like we are now. Thank you.